All right, we are live here. Let's push out some notifications real quick on socials. Do, 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 do. Oh, why is it every time I go to stream, Mastodon is like really, really lagging out? Every single time? Every single time. Do, do, do. No, don't go there. Just post. Thank you. Alrighty. Okay. Let's get to it. So I keep seeing GNU Stow. I've seen it a few times now. So I really want to get it set up to start moving around some of my dot files and figure out how it works. And it seems super simple on the surface. I started to look into this. But it turns out it's not actually that simple. So let me zoom in on here and we can get started with this. All right, so we've got Kitty here. Well, we actually got the dot files repo, and then we've got Kitty here, and inside Kitty there's dot config Kitty, and then my terminal config here to configure Cascadia Cove and my wallpaper and all that fun stuff. My font size, which I should actually modify for the stream computer, but it's whatever. But see, the thing is, when I attempt, oh, whoa, what have we here? Huh? Really? So that didn't delete my files, did it? No, it didn't. So I wonder. So that actually did something, but I have to. Maybe I have to call Stow. So that was one directory up from my dot files repo. So let's start here. Man Stow. Let's do something terrible and pour through some documentation here. So this describes GNU Stow, whatever package. It's related to a collection of files that you wish to administer as a unit. Installed the particular directory structure, binlib and man subdirectories, target directories, root tree in which one or more packages will appear to be installed. So where's the target directory? Stow directory is assumed to be the value of stow_dir environment variable, or if unset, the current directory, and the target directory is assumed to be the parent of the current directory. Typical to execute stow from the directory user local stow. By default, they are installed in the target directory and can be deleted using -d. So So what we're saying here is, so basically what I was doing before, over here, so we said stow kitty, and then we say dash T, and then we give it the home directory as a target. Shift, thank you. So now Kitty is there, and now if I'm on like a new, if we start up a new one, we are in here. Perfect. Perfect. All right. So that's great. So that's how Stow is supposed to work then. So I'm going to forget that. So I'm going to throw this in a readme real quick. No, not that. This. Readme. Da, 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 da. So this would be stow kitty dash T and that. Okay. Awesome. .config kitty. Yeah. So this is all normal, and now I can edit that config to be whatever I want. Okay, so now I want to, we're just going to copy over some of the other dot files then. We're going to make I3 happen. So we're going to, no, not D. We're going to say I3. And then we're going to say .config. We're going to say I3. And in here, we're going to move the i3 configuration files. Well, actually, I probably want to move this from a working system. So these i3 configs probably aren't what we want to do here now. So we're going to leave this one alone, actually. And then we're going to create a sway config, because that's something that needs to be done. So we're going to say mv sway to ./sway to we're going to say this /source repos /dot files, and then we're going to say sway I figured as much. I figured I screwed that up. Sway We want to call this way. Okay. So now there's no sway. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. So now we need to say it's in here somewhere. Stow kitty. So instead of kitty, we need to say sway. And now we have a sway directory in our config. And when we update one, it'll update the other. Sweet. Awesome. This is cool. This is cool. A great way to make a bunch of disparate files one repo. It's not the shift key, Ben. Okay. Alrighty. How do we want to do this? So we've got i3 kitty and sway. i3 is not set up. NeoVim, I want to play with this on Windows some first before I move NeoVim over, because that's in its own dot files repo. Oh, I want ZSH. ZSH should be here. So put that here. MV ZSH RC to okay. No ZSHRC. Okay. That should be here. Alright. Ooh, I should move my posh stuff too. Can you not? You can't auto. That's a PowerShell thing, not a ZSH thing. Or I just screwed that up. That's possible too. Repos, dot files, ZSH, config error. Yeah, it's understandable until what we do is we come over here. And then we're happy again. Sweet. So that's all in there. So we're gonna say, ooh, okay. Read me. I should set that to be. Let's go back here real quick. What was the name of that environment variable? Man, stow. target directory. And the target directory seem to be the parent of the current directory. Do we have to specify? Okay, I'm wrong. That's not going to work. Okay, so what we can do then is export um, target dir equals this. Sweet. Alrighty. Okay, so that's CSH. Let's do tmux as well. Tmux is the other one. We're just gonna perfect, and then we do. Let's try this with tmux. Okay, CSH can do that. All right, and then the tmux config is in. Sweet. So now we have basically everything I use other than i3, which I can get on a different machine. And all I need to do in order to use this is to run that little bit of readme config, or run that little bit of readme script beforehand. Now, what I can do is when I create a new repo, or I have a new machine, and I want certain things to be installed on it, all I have to do is clone this repo to a directory and then run stow, the name of the package that I want to install, and then the target directory, which is almost always root, and then all of those symlinks will be set up for me from my dot files to that section. This is a really great thing. I really like how this works. So I am gonna be using this more and more. I'm think if I can figure out how to use Stow on Windows, I think I'm going to move over the NeoVim config into this repo as well. So hey, how's it going? It's good to see you too. How have you been? It's been a little while. It's been a couple weeks. Hope everything's going okay. So I'm gonna put this in a Git repo real quick. So I already initted it, I think. Oh, yeah, we gotta. Good to hear it. Good to hear it. Git config global init dot default branch. We'll just say main because that's the standard. It looks like it used master for me here, so We're going to go to GitHub here. And I'm going to sign up real quick. And you are not going to see, sorry, or sign in. I'm not signing up for GitHub. I already signed up for GitHub a long time ago. Sweet. Oh, my password manager's taking forever. Authenticator. I know. Sorry. One sec. I should be already signed into GitHub, I would have thought, but... Oh, I never hit the remember me. That would do it. Okay. Sweet. Alright. Log in to GitHub and not dox myself. Alrighty. Sweet. Okay. Let's go back to this so you can see again. Alrighty. So let's create a new repo real quick. Dot files. Mzyke bends. Same thing. Dot files. Public. Sure, don't add anything. Create repository. Okay. Push an existing repo. Get ref spec main does not match any. Oh, the stupid. Okay. Okay, git commit dash m, and then we're just gonna say initial commit. Oh. You can't see this. I have to set my email. Which actually, I guess you can see anyways, probably on GitHub, but you know. Okay, there we go. Sweet. And then git status, nothing to commit. Git. So now we should be able to. Perfect. And I thought I had set up GitHub CLI. I think I had to for something else. So I'm already logged in. So sweet. So now we have a dot file repo for more than just NeoVim. Sweet. All right, that was my goal. That was my goal with Stow. So I will do some more work later. Once I figure out there's this other tool called Deploy that someone has set up using a Python script to do this on Windows, and I kind of like the idea, but I don't know. I might write my own script too to handle some of this stuff. Um, and I've got to do some testing to make sure this is gonna work. But I would love to put my NeoVim config in there as well. So we may do that yet. So anyway, so let's close out. Let's switch gears here from dot files. Let's go back and do some motion canvas. Let's make some more progress on that. All right. This is so much faster than Windows. I use Windows at work every day, and this workflow just works better on Linux. On Windows, it's faster than the alternatives. Like, it's faster than like using VS Code or something. But this is just next level sort of stuff. So local host 9,000. Cool. We'll up the size just a tad here, just a touch. All right. So let's see where we left off. So we expand there. We have our one value there, and there. I seem to remember we left on a pretty difficult spot. Okay. Yeah. The spacing is funky. That's what I remember. So let's explicitly set ourselves up around here. So the spacing between these nodes is funky. So we need to make the spacing consistent so that we can slot in other values into here. So these 1, 2, and 3 have to be slotted in other places essentially. So we need to figure that out. So the math calculating the distance between the two of these is wrong, essentially. Out of curiosity, what do you run? Do you run Linux daily? Do you run Windows or Mac? I'm just curious. Let's see here. So if we go down to source, actually, did I ever actually add this to my... I did. Sweet. Okay, so what's wrong is our values for X and Y. Build memory blocks, X, Y. Rec not null. So node padding. Gray box. Height 100. So it's 100. The width of it is 100 plus padding times the length. So maybe this should be... Length -1. Or maybe we should only put padding on the... But so what this should do is this should increment by, if we say this is like 5 boxes wide, so that should increment by 100 plus the padding plus, so it should be 100 for the box, for each box, plus the padding that would be there anyway, times the length. So it's every box plus padding wide. So it should be... So basically... So let's... Do I have GIMP on here? I do not. Sweet. What distro do you like? Are you on Ubuntu, Arch, something else? What do you prefer, out of curiosity? Sudo apt install GIMP. I want to draw this out. Let's figure this out here. Okay. So we've got, so file new. Sure, 1080p works great. Oh, fill with black, please. Please. Okay. And then we will swap this. And then we're going to draw. Perfect. Okay. So basically what we've got here, so what's happening here? So we've got these blocks, right? And so I want these blocks to be like dummy memory blocks, basically, and then have a consistent amount of padding between them, and then have the blocks that actually have the values in the linked list. If I didn't suck at drawing, that in the linked list here, basically. And then you can have like a 1 value block plus its padding value, and then you can have another block here for the linked list. So I want to eventually move the linked list nodes here, and then I can have like arrows that point to point from like here to this portion, so that you can see how in memory the linked list is just another data structure that takes up space, but it's one chunk of memory pointing to another chunk of memory, essentially. This is basically what I want to show. And I want to like eventually, so right now there's just 3 linked list nodes in the center. What I want to do is I want to explode them off into their own sections within this kind of like masonry grid looking thing, which represents like memory, because those nodes may or may not be located next to each other at all. They could be completely different places in memory, and I want to show how like other things can be next to them, essentially. So this is kind of like, this is a really crappy drawing of my end state I would like to have, essentially. So yeah. So if we have if we have a grid, essentially, plus gap plus grid, plus, so say these are like cells within the grid, essentially. And we say each of these is 100. We say each of these is 100 plus, like, say like 10 padding. Ignore my terrible drawing. So plus like 10 padding. So I'm saying now, right now, that if I have one node or one long, that I have one here, and that's going to be 110. So if I have two nodes long, that's 110 times 2, which would be this. So that would be 220. So my math seems to be correct here. So what I don't get is why when we do this in motion canvas and set our width to 220. Oh, because you don't include padding on the one side. You shouldn't include padding when you're... This should not be in this. Ubuntu Pro 2404 LTS. That's basically that. I think that's exactly what I'm running right now. I really like Ubuntu's stability, and I like the fact that anything that has an app already has an app for Ubuntu. Like software support is great. When you search things, they're almost always Ubuntu. But yeah, I liked Arch a lot when I had a bunch of time with it once upon a time, but it just over time it wasn't for me. So I had to move on from that. It was good for a time, but I don't have time for that anymore. And maybe it's gotten better. It's probably gotten a lot better. There were a lot of things I liked about it, but thing is Ubuntu does a lot of that stuff for me anyway. So but I think we figured out. I think this is the issue here with like why the blocks aren't the right size, why they aren't in a nice grid. It's because that last gap. So you should only calculate the gap. So it's whatever it is minus that. I think we're gonna do that. That's the kludgy way. It's kludgy, but I think that's how it's gotta be. So we say minus node padding. So let's play. Hold on. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What did we have here? So there's... So, but we have to take node padding into account when we start the next node in the memory map here. Let me turn off grid for now. It looks a little better. But like I said, so now we need to say when we calculate the start of the next block, we need to take that into consideration as well. So let's go. So X, so the width, so X and Y are calculated externally. So So node padding. So they're minus 300 plus the current number times 100 plus node padding. Oh, that's the Y value. The X value, which should be the first one. Let's quit this so we get a little more space. So the X value here, so it should be negative 330 plus the item number times that. Plus the node padding value. So here, so you're gonna start. So you're gonna start the next node. So say we're 2 blocks. We're 2 blocks here. That means you're going to start at 2 times 100. So you're going to start your next one at 220. You're going to end at 210 and you're going to start your next block at 220. Essentially. Which is what we're doing now. That's what this should be. So this should be, so from here, so this is negative 490 to 171. And I think this is 3 blocks long. Yeah, so it's 3 and then 2. So this should, so 172, so this should go from, or 170 essentially. So from 170 to 180 or 160. So this block should start right where my cursor's at. And it doesn't. Let's refresh this. So if it's 3, so this value, so 3 times 110. Well, that's assuming, what's the padding value here? What's the node padding value? Node padding value is 10. So essentially what we need to do, so 100 plus the node padding. So, or actually it's, I keep forgetting. X is the first number. So it's the row item counter. So it starts at 300 or 3 times 100 plus node padding. 100 plus node padding is 110 times 3 is 330. 330. So it should essentially, it should start at 0. Well, sort of. Something about these dimensions is off. Because I'm going from center, I'm going negative 330 And then I'm multiplying and adding by that much. Something's funky here. Something feels funky here. Because this feels right. This seems right. Because it should be negative 330 plus the number of blocks times the width of a single element plus the padding in the block. And that should be the beginning of the next node. But here's the thing, though. When you add the X and Y, you change this. You're moving by the center. I think maybe that's the problem. I think we're moving by the center rather than by the edge. Should that matter though? So if you move that by 330 over, everything moves by 330 over. And then you add the width of all the existing nodes. Yeah, it does matter. It matters a lot. Because you're moving relative to the center of the object rather than the absolute left. So you're moving your center rather than the left. Does motion canvas have like a grid? They do have something. That could help me with the math. But I don't think... Ooh, align items. Shape dot align items. Align self. Flex. I need CSS grid is what I need, honestly. I need to be able to set the flex or flex box, because then I could set flex direction and then just say like the width of the item, and like it would flow inline block. It's essentially what I need right now. But I have to implement it all myself. So that's fun. Okay. So if we go back, so let's think about the math again. So it's the center of the item rather than the... So we have to take the width of the item into account in order to calculate the edge. So what we're doing is we're saying, so shift everything over by 330. That's fine. No, it's actually not fine. We need to shift. So we need to divide the width in half and subtract that. So what are we building? We are building a an animation in motion canvas, essentially, of a linked list and how it looks in memory. That's the goal anyway. I'm learning motion canvas. This is the first thing I've ever built with motion canvas. So basically there'll be a voiceover with this, and this could be like, say, like a YouTube short, and where it like shows like the values are what, here and here, and then the pointer to the next node is there, and then it'll show like, the chain of items in a linked list. And then the goal is to show like a memory map and move these guys, these move these nodes into the gaps here, essentially, and then have those nodes be like represented in memory, and then have the arrows move to point to them, so that you can kind of show how in memory the actual memory layout of a linked list is all jumbled up, essentially. So that's what we're building. So I'm trying to get the math right now to figure out how to set the like where the values start and stop for the different blocks. So, and I think what's happening right now is essentially I have shifted over by the middle value of these, and I'm not taking into consideration the width of them. I assumed the X was going to start on the left, and then, you get your Y value by moving over, and then you can just kind of calculate by that. But no, the width of the block is has to be factored in, because it's shifting things over negative 330 value, negative 330 by the center of the item. So the width of the item matters now, because I'd like to have the item plus the padding value there, plus the item plus the padding value. So, like I said, we're trying to get the math correct here. So what we need to do, so negative 330 row item counter. So we have to find the edge of the object and subtract the half of the object width. So if I say, so const block width equals, so this would be the row item. So it's not row item counter. It's going to be the val plus, or the val times 100 plus node padding minus the node padding, one node padding. So that's going to be the width of the block itself. So half block width is easy. Divided by 2. All right, so now we have the half of the block width. So we can calculate. So if we're saying this, so when we shift over to the left, we say shift by the block minus. Oh, but you have to calculate. You have to calculate. I think they're dependent on one another. Negative 330 times I. Well, so the block widths are 100 plus the node padding. So you can think of it like a grid, where maybe you can think of it like a grid where each cell is 100 plus a padding value to the right of it, which is 10, right? But when we use our grid, we're moving based on the center. So I times the width plus node padding. Yeah, so that's what I assumed first. That's what this is. So the row item counter. So it's gonna be the width of the item is going to be subtracting that based on that. So I think I need to take half of the block's width into account when I move the x value. So this is going to be this minus half block width, I think. And negative 330 is negative 330 has to be adjusted, of course. So it's going to be like 230. Maybe not. Maybe it's like 130. So it's negative 130. This almost looks like a full this gap here. So this goes from 120 or 130, negative 130 to 110. So that gap is 120. But these two match up. So if I were to slot in something here, these edges match up, which is progress. So before I wasn't even getting edges match up. So now we could slot that in right this, like one of these nodes in right here. And it would look correct. But this gap between the two, because we have 3, 2, and then we're supposed to have a node and then 1 value on the end, essentially. And I assume the 1 value is like way out here right now. So we still have like way too much. So what's happening here? So if we go back here, so for the first one, we're saying the row item counter is 0. So we're just saying move negative 130 minus half of the width, which is going to be half of whatever that block is. That's going to be, so since it's 3, what is the 100 for? The 100 is the width of the cell. So each memory cell is like 100 px. So we should say half the block width. That's for that item. Do we have to account for all the block widths for the whole row at that point? Val is the number of cells in that node. So for this first block, it's supposed to be 3. So we're supposed to essentially take up 3 slots here. So these nodes take up 2. This one should take up 3 plus 2 items of padding in here essentially. So what should happen? So this calculates out to be negative 450. Negative 450, and then to negative 130. So 130, 450 minus 130 is 320, which is the proper width. So that's correct. So what we need to do is we need to have this node start at the start value needs to be around here, 110. Negative 110 should be the edge of the other block. Or negative 120? Negative 120 looks better. Maths is hard. Maths is really hard. What about storing total padding plus width in an outside variable and then just adding that value in each iteration of the loop instead of doing hard math? Yeah, I'm slowly arriving at that conclusion, I think. That the row item counter isn't necessarily what I want. I should be counting the number of pixels essentially that I've already consumed the space of, and then use that for the x and y value. I think I'll still have to do some math. I think I might still have to do some math around like half the block width. But I think you're right. I think the row item counter should become like row item or like row consumed, like row width consumed. No, I don't want to do that. I want to... No. BRN. Row item width consumed. Current X value. It is not unheard of for me to take the hard way. Sum of previous X pixels. You know what? I like your variable name better. I'm going to use your variable name. And then that gets reset once the... You're better at naming things than I am, obviously. So then that gets reset on every row. At least it should. Yeah, sum of previous X pixels gets reset to 0 on every row. As it should. So we're calculating the sum of previous X pixels. So it's not that. Sum of previous X pixels plus what? So we're shifting the block over by those pixels, and then we have the half of the block width essentially. So I think it's minus half block width, and then instead of val, it should be val times, so val times 100, which is our node width, plus node padding minus node, and then this is in parens, minus node padding. Actually, not minus node padding, because that's just the space consumed. So it should just be this. Reset. Would be better to calculate the padding and width than adding, not resetting. But I have to reset for every row, right? Essentially. Essentially, I have to reset. Oh, sorry. Let's see what this does. Let's see what this does. Okay, okay, okay. So we get our other block on screen. We get our other block on screen. The gap is still pretty wide here. It's similar to what we had before. Why is our gap so wide? Why is the gap so wide there? Is the gap the same? So this starts at 180, and then this one starts at 290. 180 to 290 is 110. So this is like a full node block. Are we adding? Should it be val minus 1? Maybe it should be val minus 1? Can't type. What does this do? Too much. What's the end goal again? Here, let me show in a really crude drawing from earlier. So essentially you should have like, so this block, say, is like 2 here, this 1 here, this is my node here, and then this gap should be consistent between the two. So you should have 2, 1, 2, and then 2 here, and the gap between them should be consistent, and then I should be able to like move the linked list block in between the rest of the nodes here, essentially. So I have basically a map for those vowels that has numbers in it, and they tell me how big the blocks should be, and then there's a null value for where we should skip and assume the node is present. So actually, I bet that node calculation portion is sum of previous x pixels plus equals 2. This is wrong. So this should be 200 plus, or it should be 100 plus node padding times 2 should get added for that. So that's one issue. So ooh, so we could slot this guy right here. So that's closer. That's a lot closer. So this guy's still screwed up, right? So We've still got that there that needs to be fixed. But this looks a lot better. We got here. What is causing that extra, or that, but it's not calculating the padding quite right. I don't think we should need val -1 here, because it should really just be previous x pixels. It does look really, really sus, doesn't it? I'm gonna do something crazy. Mm. No, 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 no. I don't think that was right. I think plus node padding. Plus node padding? I don't think that fixes all the cases. That looks better. That's how that's supposed to look. This one is. So this row is essentially correct, I think. So we've fixed this row essentially. But this row's all messed up now. But I agree that -1 does look a little sus. It does seem like a bad thing. At least we're lined up on a grid now. I'm sure this is super entertaining watching me be bad at maths. So on that next row, so it's calculating 3 and 1. So what it's saying is it's 130 times, so the half the block width. It's moving the block based on the block itself, not based on the block's padding. That's probably why we had to add that extra padding to the sum of previous pixels, including the node padding. But for the start of the other one, so we reset to 0. We said, see, this doesn't make any sense, right? Because if this is the same size, then the start side of this should be right here, shouldn't it? Unless my calculation with the half. What's going on line 8? You're talking about down here? Which line 8? So the block counter needs to stay where it is, as is. Sorry, makes it fast for me to jump around. So the reason I use the relative line numbers so I can just go like 7k and I can jump up to 7 lines above. So it's nice for that rather than having to type in colon and then my exact line number. So line 10, 119. So what's going on down here? So this is that -1 really does seem wrong. Um, Especially since the value starts out at 0. But if I remove this -1, this all breaks. It looks wrong. I wish I could just set based on the corner value rather than like relative to the center of the block, essentially. So basically what this says for the first value, it's going to say val -1, so it's 3 cells wide, so it's going to say 2 times 100. This is wrong. What we should say, sum of previous x pixels, we should say block width plus node padding. But that leads to that issue. Actually. Does the block width already contain the padding? It does. It contains the inner padding, but not the last. So what you block width plus node padding. So block width plus node padding should be the value that you want there. Right? So that should be the start of the next node. So that's the previous x pixels. What do you use for commenting in Vim? I have a plugin. Let me go look at that real quick. So it's just in lazy. NVim comment. So this repo. Oh, I can't. I'm getting it to you. One sec. I just got to do a thing. YouTube is dumb and doesn't allow for... Chat is disabled for this live stream. That's such a lie. That's not true at all. Chat can't be disabled for this live stream. That is categorically false. Okay, so back that out. So we go here and we say VE. There you go. That's the name of the NeoVim plugin I use. It works pretty well for the most part. There are some weird situations where in like other languages, like if I'm in C# and I comment, it like uses a block comment around the line. So that's kind of weird, but it understands how to uncomment lines. So it's not that big of an issue. It's just if you leave stuff commented and commit it, it can get kind of funky. So, but it doesn't seem to do that in JavaScript at all. So it might be like an LSP issue. So like if I do this, it does the whole thing. So, but yeah, just do GCC or GC depending on if you're in visual mode or not. So, okay, so we're just trying to do this. So basically what I did before was just node padding times 2. And that seemed to be... Yeah, see that one value is way off the screen. Doesn't change a whole lot here. But anywho, I should probably get to bed. I got work tomorrow morning. I might take this offline and really noodle on the whole like why these are the way they are, why they're not starting and stopping at the correct X and Y values. Maybe I need to look through some of this stuff in here, like the position values here, and really start messing with them to see what the calculated values should be. So, but yeah, I think I'm gonna head out. Thanks for hanging around for a little while. Appreciate it. Appreciate all who've stuck around. There's somebody watching on Twitch still, so, and then thank you Marvelous as well. So everybody have a good night. I will see you later.